I want to start with Mirra Andreeva from Indian Wells because I kept seeing the graphics, the other 17-year-olds who have played in an Indian Wells final, and I happened to be sitting next to one of them. I was pretty effusive after her run in the Middle East. I don't think she's been a secret to anyone, so no one can take credit for predicting that she's going to be really, really, really good. I think that's been baked in for a couple of years now, but it seems like the steps that she's taking, if you miss seeing her in action for a month, it almost feels like you're going to see a different version of her a month later, right? I saw her. I didn't know her serve was as big as it was. I watched her 3 weeks ago. She's able to open up the shoulders on the forehand cross more so than down the line. She uses down the line to kind of play against movement. But she was getting beat up by Sabalenka. Like Sabalenka was getting on the front foot, and it felt like, okay, maybe there's still room where she has to improve and be a little bit more physical. And she was hitting droppers and slices, and she basically just found a way to kind of get into this match. She was up against it. She did exactly zero things better than Sabalenka in the first set, and somehow just hung on long enough to turn it around. What's jumping off the screen for you when you're watching her?
When I mean, especially in that final, I think on the backhand side, I feel like that shot is so hard to read. Like she can dictate it so well. Like she can go down the line. She can kind of switch it up to do the cross court. Like at the last second.
Does it look the same to you? And then she kind of just plays it off.
Yeah. Which I felt like was at times kind of putting Sabalenka off a little bit, or makes it harder to read. I mean, she moves well, and I agree. Like she also looks stronger than at the start of the year already. Like she looks stronger, and I think like just having Conchita, Martinez in her box, and just having somebody with so much experience, and really fun to watch. Defends really well. Like she was more of a defensive player, I think, in the beginning when we saw her on tour, and like she's really worked to play more aggressive, and now I feel like that combination is so tough for a lot of players. Like she's so smooth, easy, and has everything. Can slice, can defend, can attack when needed. The serve has improved so much as well. Like making, she's matured for a 17-year-old like on the tennis court. It's very, very impressive. And she's still a kid when you hear her do the interviews, and it's like you're listening to like a young girl still.
I would find I agree with everything you said, and I'm trying not to like be one of the media members that overplays or over talks too much and overhypes someone who is so young. But I'm going, the forehand's good. She can get shape on it. She can flatten it out. The backhand, it's interesting what you said about disguising it. I automatically went to what I was saying to Rafa, where you couldn't tell where his forehand was going at the last second. He could like play it against wherever you were at. He made you kind of look stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And as you were saying it, I'm going, it's weird. When she hits winners, it looks like people are kind of like stunned, but it doesn't look like she hits it harder than anyone else. It's almost like she picks the right trajectory, picks the right shot, kind of knocks it down, can play it high. It's strange. It almost reminds me of, she serves better, but the way Hingis used to play, where she would play like against your movement a little bit, or she would play the droppers.
Really well too,
it's like she's a step ahead already, and it feels like the closest comp is like it's almost a combination of you and Hingis, the way she slides and will hit that like chip forehand from different positions. And I mean, she's as complete as anyone on tour now. I mean, obviously I still think she's not as physical as like an Iga or a Sabalenka, maybe not as physically imposing yet, but she's kind of gaining on the field quickly. And I don't know if there's like an obvious place. It's not like you can say Coco's forehand, go attack it. It's Iga doesn't have a great second serve. Or there's not much to pick apart right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think she also, you hardly see her make a bad mistake, right? Yeah. Like it's always. Yeah, it's smart. She plays smart. She reads it well. It's like she's never late. Like she has that early backswing against somebody like Sabalenka, or like she's always, has that, like, gives herself the time, even though she's playing against somebody who hits the ball so hard and tries to be the one dominating the rallies. And I feel like she just reads it and adjusts her game well, whether it's in the position of the court and she knows when to step in, when to like stay a little bit further back and make her opponent play a couple of extra shots. Like that's what I tried to do back in the day, right? Like you back up a little bit and then you try to, slides a couple of shots back, and before you know it, you creep into your opponent's heads, and they make some more mistakes.
Can I ask you guys a quick question about that before you get off of that? Sabalenka said in the post-match, kind of press in front of all the crowd, she talked about how she wishes she had the team that Mirra has at that age, right? That it took her a while to find the right people. Can you talk more about, how much of this is being surrounded by the right people and having the right support system to be able to do this at that age?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because she's been so, such a star in the making for a long time. She's had the sponsors, and not everybody has that luxury, right? To at such a young age already kind of pick, somebody like a Conchita Martinez and a big name like that. Like not a lot of players have the budget to do that. So, but I do think, I think whether it's the agency that she's with or, there's people making, really smart decisions. And because I doubt that she's already making those decisions for herself, right? When you're that young, I don't think you do that yet. I assume right now, like I don't know for sure, but I think there's people around her. I think her mom travels with her as well. So I think there's definitely people in her team, and it's not just a coach and the physio, but it's the agencies who a lot of times when it comes to making decisions on coaches at that age, we'll come up with a short list, or we'll do the conversations and have the conversations for these players and see what's possible. And I think Conchita, to me, what she's done with Muguruza and then now, with Andreeva, and seeing her, like the passion, right? Like that you see in the sideline. She's not the coach that sits there quietly and tries not to like show the emotions. And like, she's the one that's, like as fired up, right? And you see her nervous and you see her like getting, very like animated on the sideline.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to finish this thought on Andreeva, and then I want to go to Social Sophie for the hot gossip and what I missed and what was going on socials while I was flying to Dominican and Austin and all of the things. I kind of liked that. Mirra, the thanking myself thing is like, I love it. I just can't get it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's like, and I'd also like to just thank myself because I actually was out there doing it. Like I like it.
Me too.
Someone at 17, like I love that. I hope she.
But I also like Sabalenka, who's like,
she was cool.
I hate you guys right now. Like to your team, like it's so like automatic pilot a lot of times. I want to thank my team. Like, do
you remember? And I thought that was actually a great moment. And the camera angle was, Sabalenka was right behind Andreeva on the post game. And I also think it's a really good look for Sabalenka. When she can go crazy. She can throw a racket. She can be very intense. And then it seems like, obviously she's upset, but it's almost like she gets the moment. I'm sure you can relate, but I can remember the players that were really nice to me when I was like 17 or 18 years old. Like I remember Jonas Bjorken was beyond nice. And like, Henman was super nice. And I remember the players that were like kind of dicks. Like I remember Kafelnikov was kind of, and I like Yevgeny now. We get along great. But like, there was Rio, there were the guys who were really salty because they were like, it's like you were trying to get a piece of their lunch, but good for Sabalenka. I thought it was a good look. And it's a nice moment. I mean, you remember the people that were like, 17, you're coming in, you're making the finals of tournaments, semis of majors. And, some people can just ignore you and you feel it, right? And then there are the ones who are really kind. I thought that was a good look.
Monica Seles taught me how to put, and she probably doesn't even remember, in the locker room in Australia. I think it was my first Australian Open. And she's putting like some product in her curls. And she's like, oh, you should use this. Like,
come on.
Yeah, like stuff like that. I'll never forget it. And she probably doesn't know, but I'll never forget it. I called my mom and dad. I'm like, Monica Seles told me what to do with my curls.
Really?
So like, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
See, I love that. I thought Sabalenka was great. Something that is already starting to annoy me endlessly is that Andreeva gets kind of pissed on the court. Like I like it. She rifled a ball into the crowd yesterday. Just fired it, which I thought was hilarious. Like I generally think, petulance, as long as you're self-aware after the fact, which we'll get to Iga in a second. But I think petulance where, and they're like, oh, she's showing she's a teenager. You can't, and the commentator was like, if you want to beat someone like a Sabalenka, you can't do that stuff. I'm like, Sabalenka does that every match. What are you talking about? It's just, it feels like there's this lazy thing where it's like, anytime anyone, like I felt like when people who are 26 have gotten pissed before, right? I'm like, oh God, it just was like
42.
Anytime.
Who are you talking about?
I'm sure I don't know what you. Hey, easy with the finger.
finger.
Okay, jeez, we got it. We didn't need the finger pointing. We
No,
understood.
but even Sabalenka, like after she lost to Madison, you know, like she gets killed for like breaking a racket. But it's
so weird.
We understand the frustration, and the disappointment, and
But it was just like every 2 games. Well, she'd miss a forehand. It's like, well, she's 17. I'm like, no. She's a professional playing in a tournament that she's been the best player on earth over the last 3 weeks. Like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. At a point, I was like, we got it. We know. We fully understand the deal. Sophie, what was dominating the interweb?
Well, on the subject of Andreeva, I don't know if you saw she was playing a match against Iga and they showed her little burn book.
Oh yeah, with the names.
So
burn
funny.
book.
That was insane. I just loved that. Like, and it really shows she's not just a teenager. She has this like really strategic, whatever it said in it. Like she's taking notes, she's studying the game.
The
like
burn book.
I thought it was sweet. How cool is like she's just so cool to me. I thought that was great. So I loved that like one single shot of it flipping through. It was like everyone she had destroyed so far.
And I love
at
that
Indian
she's
Wells.
open about it. Like on the tennis channel afterwards in the studios, like she's talking about like her routine and like that she looks back on all these matches. She said like I played her in Dubai and then I was able to look back on and like just the thought process of like somebody that age like doing that I think is great. And I love that she takes a pen and a paper.
Yeah.
It's not
Did
the
you
phone.
do that?
No, that's
I
probably
did.
yeah.
Not
Did
when I
you?
was playing, but when I was younger, like all my matches.
We have exactly one other phenom which you should direct traffic to in this conversation.
No.
Yeah.
No, but it was like we had to do it back in the federation in Belgium. Like every match, we had to kind of write down our feelings, what we wanted to like work on for the next match, and so
That's so.
it just makes you think.
Wait. So after a match, you'd have to they make you do like a post match like report card on.
Well, the
yourself.
next day we would have to kind of show them. So we didn't have to do it right after the match, but we could do it at night. We would stay with like families. How do you call that?
Did you say were you
host families?
Yeah, host families and so we would just like fill it out. And
oh my God, I would have been like, the whole reason I'm trying to get good at tennis is to not do homework, folks.
but everything was like
what
mine,
are you doing? I thought this was a different path.
No, I like that kind of homework.
Yeah, that's like good general practice.
Yeah.
I like that.
What else?
Everything that I wrote. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, everything I wrote was like I felt that I was hitting my backhand good. I felt I was hitting my forehand. Like everything was by feeling. Like it was no stats. Like it was all about how I felt. Like my ball toss felt a little low. Like it was all like that's how I wrote.
Do you still have them?
I do. I have them.
Do you really?
Dive in.
Post them.
Yeah. I got you. Send me some screenshots.